Welcome back to Timeless Messages from the I Ching. This is Stephen. Thanks for tuning in. I hope you're doing well. So today's question for this particular video is, what are the most important messages for viewers at the time they find this video? Timeless messages. Whether that's in 2 weeks or 2 years, what are the most important messages for the viewers at the time they find this video? And the two hexagrams that came through are 16, enthusiasm, and number 39, obstruction. So let's begin. If you'd like to rest your eyes and listen to the interpretation, here we go. Enthusiasm. The strong line in the fourth place, that of the leading official, meets with response and obedience from all the other lines, which are all weak. So the yang line in the fourth place, the solid line, is the official, that of the leading official. And all the other lines are obedient to that official. The attribute of the upper trigram Chen, the arousing thunder, is movement, joy and movement. The attributes of Kun, the lower, the receptive earth, are obedience and devotion. This begins a movement that meets with devotion, and therefore inspires enthusiasm, carrying everything with it. Of great importance, furthermore, is the law of movement along the line of least resistance, which in this hexagram is spoken of as the law for natural events and for human life. So this talks about a movement that meets with devotion. Movement is the upper trigram of thunder, and the lower trigram, the receptive earth, is devotion. A movement that meets with devotion, which brings enthusiasm. The judgment, enthusiasm, it furthers one to install helpers and to set armies marching. The time of enthusiasm comes from the fact that there is at hand a person who is in sympathy with the spirit of the people and acts in accord with the spirit of the people. Hence, this person finds universal and willing obedience. To arouse enthusiasm, it's necessary for a person to adjust themselves and their ideas or ordinances to the character of those whom they wish to lead or have to lead. The unchangeability of natural laws rests on this principle of movement along the line of least resistance. These laws are not forces external to things, but represent a harmony of movement that is within all things. This is why the celestial bodies or planets don't deviate from their orbits, and why all events in nature occur with a fixed regularity. So these laws or these forces are within these things that help them to proceed in the way that is going to create the most amount of order. So just like the planets don't deviate from their orbits and why all events in nature occur with a fixed regularity, it's the same with human society. And only such laws that are rooted in popular sentiment can be enforced, while laws that violate this sentiment merely arouse resentment. So we see a lot of this on the planet today in 2023 with lots of revolt or revolution in terms of the masses saying, hey, enough is enough. This law or this situation that the government is pushing us down with is not to our liking. So we see a lot of this speaking out. So again, it's enthusiasm that enables us to install helpers for a completion of an undertaking without fear of secret opposition. So enthusiasm is a very good thing. And it is enthusiasm, too, that can unify mass movements, as in war, so that they achieve victory, or mass movements that are looking to change structures of the government to be more favorable to the people. So the image, thunder comes resounding out of the earth, the image of enthusiasm. Thus the ancient kings made music in order to honor merit, and offered music with splendor to the supreme deity, inviting their ancestors to be present. When at the beginning of summer, thunder, electrical energy, comes rushing forth from the earth again, and the first thunderstorm refreshes nature, a prolonged state of tension is resolved. Joy and relief make themselves felt. So too, music has power to ease tensions within the heart. and to loosen the grip of obscure or troubling emotions. The enthusiasm of the heart expresses itself involuntarily in a burst of song and poetry and dance, or in rhythmic movement of the body. From time immemorial, the inspiring effect of the invisible sound that moves all hearts and draws them together has mystified humankind. And rulers have made use of this natural taste for music. Rulers have elevated and regulated music, and music was looked upon as something serious and holy, designed to purify the feelings of humanity. It fell to music to glorify the virtues of heroes, and thus to construct a bridge to the world of the unseen. And in the temple of humanity, men and women drew near to God with music and pantomime. Out of this, later, the theater was developed. Religious feeling for the Creator of the world was united with the most sacred of human feelings, that of reverence for the ancestors. The ancestors were invited to these divine services as guests of the ruler of heaven and as representatives of humanity in the higher regions. This uniting of the human past with the divinity in solemn, serious moments of religious inspiration or spiritual inspiration established a bond between God and humanity. The ruler who revered the divinity in revering the ancestors became thereby the son or daughter of heaven, in whom the heavenly and the earthly world meet in mystical contact. And these ideas are the final summation of Chinese culture. Confucius has said of the great sacrifice at which these rites were performed, a person who could wholly comprehend this sacrifice could rule the world as though it were spinning on their hand. So here we have the idea of the ancestors. This is a very powerful and important concept for Chinese spirituality, Chinese philosophy. For the ancestors, one's ancestors who are who've passed over to the other realm, are guests of the ruler of heaven, the Creator. And they occupy positions in the higher regions, and because of this, we can call upon them to assist us with various problems. Maybe we have a need for a new perspective, a new way to move forward with a situation or a problem, and we can ask our ancestors that are on the other side to assist us, and indeed they will. And the Chinese philosophy or the Chinese spirituality that developed this idea meets with a lot of reverence for this process. This is a very, very strong process for the Chinese people, in which the divinity, or the person who reveres the divinity, the divine, by revering their ancestors, becomes a son or a daughter of heaven. So the heavenly and the earthly world meet in a mystical contact. So this is another hint as to how to move through different situations in your life. We do have helpers on earth, but of course we have to remember as well that there are helpers beyond earth that can assist us, and these would be our ancestors. So moving from here to the changing lines, the first changing line is the third position in the lower trigram, the sixth in the third place. Six in the third place means enthusiasm that looks upward creates remorse. Hesitation brings remorse. This line is the opposite of the preceding one of the, six in the second place. Here there is in the previous line, the second changing line, which is not present in this hexagram but is just before this, there's an enthusiastic looking up to let me back up here a second. Sorry about that. And the latter changing line speaks of self-reliance. Okay, but in this particular line, there's an enthusiastic looking upward to a leader. Now, the leader could be someone external to yourself that's helping you through a process, that's leading you, that's guiding you. It could also be a part of you, your intuition, your higher guidance, your inner direction within yourself, this leader that you're looking up to as well. So if a person hesitates too long, this also will bring remorse. So we want to pay attention to the guidance from the leader, whether it's external to us or within ourselves, our divine inner guidance. Okay? And we also do not want to hesitate, because if we do, then we're going to be having remorse for this. So there is a right moment for approach, and it must be seized. Only then will we do the right thing. So this talks a lot about timing and not hesitating, paying attention, looking up to a leader, if that leader is external to you, or if that leader, that guidance and wisdom is within yourself, taking action upon that guidance from that leader, and not hesitating for too long, not going into remorse because of an extended hesitation, but choosing the right moment to act on this and seizing that moment, and then you're doing the right thing. So timing is very important in this particular situation you find yourself in. And acting. So number 4, 9 in the 4th place means the source of enthusiasm. He achieves great things. Doubt not. You gather friends around you, as a hair clasp gathers the hair. This describes a person who is able to awaken enthusiasm through their own sureness and freedom from hesitation. So this is another hint about how you can move forward in this particular time of enthusiasm by being sure and certain and being free of hesitation if you are able to be so. And you will attract, by doing so, you will attract people because you don't have doubt. And you are wholly sincere. You're being completely sincere, and you don't have any doubt. Therefore, people come to you. And because of this confidence, owing to this confidence, for you, the people's confidence in you, you win their enthusiastic cooperation and you attain success. Additionally, the person is described as having confidence in the people. And by having confidence in the people, the person wins their enthusiastic cooperation and they attain success. So have confidence not only in the process that you're going through in yourself and the wisdom and the freedom from hesitation and the sureness that you have, but also have confidence in the people, because therefore you will win enthusiastic cooperation and attain success. So just as a clasp draws the hair together and holds it, so too this person draws people together by the support they give them. So this talks a lot about service. You're going to draw people together by the support that you give them, selfless service. You're going to support them, and they will be drawn toward you because of your unselfish, sure, free of doubt, and wholly sincere support that you offer to the people, and they will offer the same to you. Finally, the 6th and the 5th place changing line is persistently ill and still does not die. Here, enthusiasm is obstructed. A person is under constant pressure, and this pressure prevents them from breathing freely. However, this pressure has an advantage. This pressure prevents the person from consuming all of their power and empty enthusiasm. I'll read this again. This pressure has an advantage because it prevents the person from consuming all of their power with empty enthusiasm. Thus, constant pressure can actually serve to keep a person alive. So here we have the idea of you're under a lot of pressure, okay, and there may be even sickness and illness, but you're not going to die because even though your enthusiasm is being obstructed, and this pressure is preventing you from really breathing freely and being as healthy as you might like to be, this pressure has its advantages. It has its advantages because it prevents you from wasting your power in empty enthusiasm or consuming your power in empty enthusiasm. And thus this pressure, even though it's difficult, will serve to keep you alive. And of course, this is not to indicate that this pressure is going to be ongoing and eternal. This situation will shift at some point, but just know that if you are experiencing a significant amount of pressure or constant pressure, that it's there to help you to not waste your energy and also to help keep you alive. Now, moving on to the next hexagram, Ching, obstruction. This hexagram pictures a dangerous abyss lying before us and a steep and inaccessible mountain that rises behind us. So behind us is a mountain, and in front of us is a deep, dangerous abyss filled with water. We are surrounded by obstacles. At the same time, since the mountain has the attribute of keeping still would be going within, getting in tune with your inner being, there is a hint as to how we can free ourselves by keeping still, by going within. So here we see you faced by an obstruction. There's an obstruction that is in front of you and behind you. And you can extricate or free yourself from this by keeping still. Keeping still is just an indicator of the mountain's presence. The mountain is keeping still. It's going within itself. The hexagram represents obstructions that appear in the course of time, but that can and should be overcome. Therefore, all the instruction is given to overcoming these obstructions. The judgment, obstruction. The southwest furthers, the northeast does not further. It furthers one to see the great person. Perseverance brings good fortune. The southwest is the region of retreat. The northeast is the region of advance. So here retreat is encouraged. Here an individual is confronted by obstacles that cannot be overcome directly with force. And in such a situation, it's wise to pause and view the danger and to retreat. However, this is just a preparation for overcoming the obstructions. A person must join forces with friends of like mind and put themselves under the leadership of a person that is equal to the situation. Now, this could be a person external to you, but it could also be a quality that is within you, a guidance, a wisdom, a depth that is within you, that is equal to the situation to help you overcome the obstruction, not by force, but by getting into a new energy flow. Then you will succeed in removing the obstacles, not directly, but by moving, like I say, into this new energy flow. This requires the will to persevere just when you must apparently do something that leads away from your goal. So this is the idea of, yes, okay, retreat. You're not actually plunging ahead and trying to combat and fight this obstruction, because that will not produce the effects that you want. You're actually having to retreat, to step back, and in retreating, you're actually getting in tune with your inner being. You're getting more information, more guidance, more wisdom and direction. And this is going to help you change and move into a better energy flow that's going to help you naturally move through this particular time of obstruction. So this unswerving inner purpose brings good fortune in the end. Even though you have to retreat, you have an inner purpose that says essentially, I'm going to surmount, I'm going to get through this obstruction. Maybe not today, and maybe not with a fight or a battle, but I know that this is going to end well, and good fortune is going to come in the end. The text goes on to say that an obstruction that lasts for a time is useful only for a time. An obstruction that lasts only for a particular time is useful for self-development. And this is the value of adversity. So here we have the idea of an obstruction actually being an opportunity to learn, an opportunity to develop your inner power, your inner wisdom, your guidance, and so forth. And this is the idea that adversity actually is designed to impart value to you. If you're able to attune your energy to the particular situation you find yourself in and not wear yourself out with mistaken action and resistance. So the image, water on the mountain, the image of obstruction. Thus, the superior person turns their attention to themselves and molds their character. So this is the other idea that's been expressed already of the mountain, looking within, turning their attention to the inner and molding their character. Okay. Difficulties and obstructions throw a person back upon themselves, which means they're forced to look within for answers, for guidance. Now, the inferior person seeks to put the blame on other persons and complains about their fate. But the superior person seeks the errors within themselves. And through this introspection, the external obstacle becomes for this person an opportunity for inner enrichment and education. So the question here is, are you going to be the inferior person and put the blame on other persons or other energies and complain about your particular fate and essentially be in a place of, very limited power? Or are you going to be the superior person that seeks to understand perhaps there was an error that they made within themselves? Perhaps there was a choice or a decision that they made that perhaps led to this particular situation. And through this open and introspective type of thinking and contemplation, they are able to look upon the external obstacle, and this becomes an opportunity to learn and be enriched and educated about how better to proceed in the future and how they may have proceeded in ways that were not particularly productive to help arrive to this particular obstruction. So essentially taking responsibility for helping this time come through, and then also not forcibly working on the obstruction or trying to fight against it. That's a wonderful thing, to not trying to overcome it directly with force and fighting, because that would not produce the outcome. Instead, you are going to enter the new energy flow that is more internalized, that then allows you to slowly move past the obstruction, because your energy flow has now shifted and the obstruction is no longer a battle that you are waging against. So go with the flow, learn from the flow, attune to the within, the guidance that's within you, the inner wisdom, the divine light, and know that this obstruction is not there for a permanent time. It's only there for a short time, and you are actually soon moving out of that particular obstruction. The secret, though, is to slightly shift your energy so that you're no longer in a battle with this obstruction. You're no longer in a state of resistance to this obstruction. You're saying, okay, yeah, I see that this is a challenge, this is an obstruction, but I know that there's a solution and there's a way through, and I'm willing to open up to that information, and then the doors open. So that's the information I have for you today. I hope it's helpful to your particular situation. Thanks for tuning in, and take care.